So hi, welcome to this week's Circle of Harmony. My name is Taru, and the topic for this week is becoming still, or knowing stillness, like basically stillness. So I'll just share the screen, and we'll go through the poem that was written, and then we. I don't think the screen could share. You can see it. Yeah.
Not yet. Yeah.
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 So, stepping down from the merry-go-round, let's talk about becoming still. I live unconsciously in my own world, as if riding my own merry-go-round. Moving in circles, I have limited, rigid lives. I breathe, but will I call this being alive? Since there are so few of us, should we just go para by para? Do you want to just share in general what comes to us, or should I just complete the whole thing? What do you feel like doing? We can experiment today.
Yeah. Let's go para by para.
Okay.
Yeah. All that sounded kiddish after I said it, but yeah. So when like I started this, I writing this, I wasn't even thinking about stillness. It just felt that how when I am looking at my life, I feel that I'm just going around in circles, right? Like how you just like we all have our own merry-go-round, and we are also on a very big merry-go-round, like a big one and our own individual ones. And we feel that just because there is some movement, I assume that I'm making progress, right? I'm going towards something. But how can you ever go towards something if you're moving in circles? So that was kind of the basic thing I think that came to me. And it's very unconscious, right? Because I'm so busy doing the things that I think I need to be doing, or I should be doing, or this is my responsibility, this is my duty, at whatever roles and stuff, that it does. I don't, I mean, it's funny that I don't even realize I'm walking in circles or moving in circles. And by circle, I also meant, how like we all have room, we all have places where we can move, but just because, I mean, we put our own limitations, right? And then we say that, see, I've expanded so much, and yet my expansion has limits, yet my expansion has limits. So, that how the circle keeps growing, and it's still a circle, and there's still limitations. And when you realize that, it's quite nice that, oh, I'm still here, I'm still just kind of in the circle. So I breathe, but will I call this being alive? So the repetitive process is basically what I meant, the patterns, the habits, the, I don't know, daily schedules we have. So to make progress, I will have to stop and look. When I let go of my do's and don'ts, I will unhook. It's like, yeah, like say about this harmony circle, right? We call it, like I call it, a pause in time. Like unless I know there is something not okay, how will I do anything about it? Or maybe I don't have to do anything about it, but at least I like to know that it's not okay. So again, these rights and wrongs and do's and don'ts that we have been discussing, that they hook me, right? Like I don't even realize, but how I'm latching onto stuff and attaching onto stuff. And once I move beyond the do's and don'ts, I might come out of that, on the merry-go-round too. So should we, would it, either of you would like to just say anything right now? That would be nice. We can go through it together. Yes, Mayur.
So, Taru, when you write such poems, is it you're writing it as a third person, or you're writing it from your point of view, like the life that you're living in? Because when I read this first para, I live unconsciously in my own world. I think that's it. I find it contradictory. I think people like us who are aware, I don't think they live m- more of the time unconsciously. So I would like to understand, is it like you're writing these poems from a general audience, or from your own point of view?
You basically, I would say that I feel that I'm not one, I'm many, right? Like there's a part of me which is aware, like most of the time. And yet I keep discovering parts of me which are totally not in awareness. You know how it's like, it's not that once a light is lit, it feels it should be like this, that everything becomes light. But the things that I see in myself, again and again and again, even repetitive patterns, or in general, I see that unconsciousness in me as well. Because you know how they say that, I think it was Osho who said that you hear what you want to hear. If somebody is telling you something, no matter if it's positive, it's negative, but if you want to feel it's positive, you will feel it. Unless they say that, Are, I was kind of going the other way around. So I think that it's not a crossing over. Somehow, especially I think when I was growing up, it felt that spirituality would be a crossing over. Like there's a line and you cross over and suddenly you are enlightened and suddenly, you have reached that perfection. But I don't think it can ever be reached. Like there's no end to perfection. So yes, a lot of me is conscious by the grace. And yet I feel a lot more, lot more is still under veils and in unconscious. And plus, it's like my past feels like, it feels like I'm living parallel lives, right? Like a part of me is in my past, even right now. Like when I think about a topic, when I'm thinking about something, I can really feel it in my bones, right? Like how unconscious I was about a particular thing. So it's still my truth, right? Because I've lived it. I mean, it's not maybe not my reality right now or truth, but I have felt it in my bones. So it's very easy to, just shift stances that, okay, me 10 years back, me, okay, 5 years future, me right now, kind of a thing. So it mostly, I think everything is absolutely lived and it's in first person only, not thinking about others. But like when I talk to people also, it's like, everybody shows you a mirror. So it's not about then everything you see, okay, I do this also, I do that also. So I think that's a long answer to your short question.
No,
Yeah,
no,
would you
no.
want to share something on this? Like, and then Josna ji, maybe if she wants to.
So, so whenever I see this word Taru, no offense, okay?
Mhm,
Do not take any
absolutely.
offense, please. So when I see this word progress, it really, I really get angry. The reason being, this word progress has made this world a chaos simply. So you live, you look everywhere around you. This progress thing, I don't know. I just feel it has, instead of improving our lives, it has done the opposite of improving our life. So yeah, that's only I wanted to add. Whenever I see this progress, it just I get fumed up.
I think Mayur, here you'll have to ask yourself progress of what, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
progress of anything, so let it be, if we consider the spiritual path itself, so
Mm.
whatever is going around these days, it's simply, to use that word, unacceptable, in case of spirituality as well, because I see people getting caught up in so many things, in with so many people nowadays, with so many rituals, without ever thinking about stuff. Spirituality simply means to observe and explore. Instead of doing that by themselves, they are just caught up either with someone or with something. So yeah, that's what is happening in name of progress.
You use the word nowadays, this is happening. But when you were
Yeah,
sharing, I did not feel that this is a new thing, right? Don't you think it has been happening since like forever, like say,
Yeah,
talking about religious practices and all, and
yeah,
people
it
groups.
has been happening. It has been happening since forever, but with the introduction of all the like the connection of all the people around the world, it has come in a limelight more than it used to be. So it has like taken a sudden rise with everyone now going in every direction with just name of progress.
So maybe it was always happening, but now we know more, right? Like now we can see it more blatantly. And yet there are things which are also happening which we are not seeing, right? There are authentic people, there are authentic spiritual masters, they are, like living authentic
Yeah,
life. And it's very possible that I don't see it, or maybe I'm not looking at the right place.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's the word, authentic. It's now at, especially at these times, it's really difficult to find something authentic.
Yeah. Difficult, but yeah, I mean, definitely it is there, right? Yeah. Josna ji, would you want to speak right now or later?
Um, if I was to talk about myself and my past life as in not my past birth, my life in the past, I would definitely say that the first 40 years of my life were just pure mechanical, and it was this merry-go-round where you just follow the norm and go mechanically, and you keep moving in circles and you keep repeating and doing the same things, considering it to be progress. I mean, which is actually regress, but still progress is what for me after that age of 40, the most, the most insignificant now in my life, where you've seen it all, you've done it all, and yet what you yearn for, you're going nowhere near. So according to me, I think if we are triggered earlier to learn to be silent and introspect, even within our own, I wouldn't say religious beliefs, I would say spiritual beliefs, wherein we learn to introspect where we need to go, probably we would have led much richer lives with, with so much less drama in our lives and so much more meaning. I would be lying if I didn't say that, if I said that I don't regret it. I do regret having wasted so much time of my life doing nothing that means anything for me now. And yet at that time, I thought, that was the ultimate. I used to enjoy going out and partying, and when I would do a surgery and somebody praised me or whatever, those little, the vital, the ego pushes that we used to consider as progress, becoming famous, becoming powerful. I served the army where I rose in power. And then later at the end of it, now when I look back at it, it holds no meaning. So it's a very relevant topic, because we do go around in circles. And I think the earlier we wake up, probably it would be better for us. uh, Very often we feel, I feel so happy seeing youngsters come on this forum who are following a path, who are aware of themselves and what they do. It's so exhilarating, that, oh, they have awakened much earlier. That's not regret in me, it's sheer joy that, oh, they will find their niche much earlier. So it's a very relevant subject. And which is, I think, all of us are dealing with, or rather have dealt with. Very relevant, very nice topic.
Jyotsna, just this time thing, I personally find it very confusing. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Because in my mind, in my limited mind, I see things going in straight lines, right? Like in my world, 2 plus 2 is always 4. And yet there are we know, okay, so many things are happening which we have no idea about, right? So like you said about going to places and going to parties, and obviously we all had a share of that. But for me, I just feel it was really important for me to pick up those 500 heavy rocks, to look under them and to discover that there's nothing under this as well. There's nothing under this as well. For me to finally sit on the side and say that it's not there, like uh, somehow it's like sad, but I needed that, and I still need that. There are still things I feel that yahan milega ya wahan milega, because somehow not doing anything, which is strange, because on one aspect we say we are lazy people, right? Tamsik, the nature of the mitti, are is such that, and yet we believe in doing a lot because we are so used to doing and getting, right? And this is actually not getting, this is losing. And I think that is why the topic of stillness is there, that somehow I feel that we have been taught the wrong thing, absolutely opposite, right? Like we feel that the faster we go, or the sooner we wake up, the further we'll go. But I want to question that if it's true. It's like, because again, it's not a straight line. Like somebody probably, I don't know, could be very, I don't know, whatever, at age of 12, when suddenly, something comes, or arrow is shot, and he's get kind of, into things, and for another 40 years, he's totally lost. So, because we don't know the ways of the divine, so I feel that like my journey has been perfect for me, right? Like that ways that whatever I did was actually needed for me to be here. So that time thing, I really feel, although, it feels frustrated at times. You feel frustrated that, oh my God, you're already in the middle age, like talking about myself, that's 40 this year, last year. Okay, kya ho raha hai? But still, yeah, I mean, it just seems like all my life I was preparing to be here, kind of a thing. So, yeah, but absolutely resonated with what you shared. Yeah, so moving on. So, Snehi, we are just going through the poem, or what that was written for this, and we are just discussing on it. So, welcome to this week's circle. Yeah. So, I am distracted and lost on my merry-go-round, charmed by surface differences, shapes, and lights. Things entice and occupy me on pretext of delight. But when I look, attraction and repulsion are alike. Like when I imagine a merry-go-round, it's beautiful. It pulls me to it. There's like the beautiful lights, the silent, very mystical music, the gentle movements, the movement of the wind. And I don't know, it just feels like you're not here for some time. Is my connection not okay? I don't know, it keeps giving me a sign that something. Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. So I was just sharing that, when I think about the merry-go-round, the glitter, the glamour, the lights, the beauty, it's just is very attractive. And yet, if I imagine myself on the merry-go-round, maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then you would want to get down, right? Like everything, no matter how attractive it looks, when you look at it closely, it has nothing, right? Like from the outside, it feels it has horses and fox and dragons, and then when you actually go close, it's all the same, right? It's a seat on which you sit. All the bars are different colors, but it's the bar that you hold. So when you go close to things, the surface obviously looks so charming, but inside everything is same. That's how they say kind of, Maya works. That it shows you that, oh, I have this also, I have that also. You've just seen 10 shades of gray. I'll show you 11th. Come back, and yet, like we were discussing, when I look under the rocks, it's the same. It's the same emptiness. It's the same, kind of it gives you nothing. So I just feel like you were also sharing, Jyotsna ji, that it just what it does that my life kind of goes is spent where I don't want it, where I did not, I don't know, move towards anything. Like again, that circle thing that I was just occupied in the unnecessary. A lot of times, I've heard, especially mothers, surprisingly fathers, I haven't, that, I don't know where my life went. Like it was like, I spent it, I don't know, the last 20 years on this child, and now, he's going to college. What do I do now? So pata hi nahi chala kahan chala gaya, but I was occupied doing, supposed to be doing a lot, but actually doing nothing. And that's a sad place to be, but I'm sure that's, a journey, and there is must be learning there. But on the same pretext, say if I'm talking about a person and I say, I really like him, I really like him, that attraction is there. And after 10 years, especially after marriage, then you're like, I can't stand him, I can't stand him, like I just don't want to be in the same room with him, for example. But I forget that it's not about me liking or unliking the person. It's just that I'm stuck in that person, right? Like my focus is not on me. It's just, okay, I like him, I don't like him, I like him, I don't like him, but I don't move beyond that. So in that context, I feel that how the attractions and repulsions, how they talk about duality. Like say, we feel that, I don't know, I feel that I used to feel that conquering duality means that walking in the opposite direction, right? That if I am attracted towards, I don't know, anger, then I don't know, very like being really happy would be the opposite, always kind of a thing, like right and left. But I'm learning that the opposites would not lead to my dissolution, it would not lead to something big. See, I don't know, kind of staying in the center would take me there, or getting out of the right and left will take me there. So yeah, so that was the are alike. And so nothing, no one can ever give anything eternal to me. They promise completion, but leave me feeling more lonely. So please, if we can unmute, and if there's any comment on this, we can. Yes, Mayur.
Yeah. So let me give you an example. I've experienced this in my life. So whenever we are in a relationship, so if everything is going fine, so we say we love someone, we like someone. When anything goes haywire, so we just say we hate that person, we don't agree with that person. So there never comes a time when we say it's okay. There have been situation that it had made that person to do such things, or compromise something. So so that's it. We are doing that every time. We are not like, as this topic is all about stillness, we do not want to accept things first of all. Like every people has their situation whenever they do things. So first of all, we do not want to accept things, and we always go into this blame games and all that stuff. So and as in the third para, you correctly mentioned, nowadays we have so many ways to distract ourselves instead of having that focus in any way. Let it be our studies, let it be our relationship, let it be our work. So we have so many things to get distracted from, and very less patience to be focused on things, because to build and expertise. It requires patience. As Joshna ji have been doing painting for like throughout her life, it takes patience in doing everything, which I feel, which at this time you all are currently lagging. So yeah, that's true.
Thank you, Mayur.
On a spiritual front, I've been reading of late. Uh, Both Mother and Sri Aurobindo say that true equanimity, like even Monica says, samta, being equanimous, comes when you hate nothing and you love nothing. Now, to attain that state is a catch 22, because not to really love something and not to really hate something, and to bring in a phase of equanimity within yourself is, they say, the path of being truly steady, when you can opine or your opinion holds value. I have been experimenting with myself to try not to take sides, or not to love something and not to hate anything, and yet try to give an opinion. But as human beings, we tend to shift. We tend to go one way, then we go the other way. And our emotions peak and crash and peak and crash. And finally, you are just left alone. You are again alone, because you went this way, you didn't find it. So you went the other way and you didn't find it. And it's only when now I understand that when we reach that equanimous location, wherein we say, no, I won't take sides. Let me try to just be equivocal, and just view things without voting either way. It works. But it takes a hell of a lot of of telling yourself, no, mind don't wander there. No, vital don't wander there. Don't go to the extremes. But when that starts setting in, you realize that the loneliness disappears. The loneliness starts to go away, and you don't have many complaints with life. You tend to become, more stable, and very few things really rattle you, because you've practiced that state of being steady. It takes some effort, I wouldn't deny. It takes some of killing of your fun, or I would say, the thrills of life. And it also takes a lot not to dislike somebody. But then once you've done it, it kind of frees you. You actually get free, because you haven't opined on either side of the fence. So I have been going through this cycle, and I can now sense that the loneliness is disappearing. I don't feel alone or lonely. I always feel that my inner self is there with me to take me on the right road, which is a very comforting feeling. One feels a kind of a satisfaction inside, where you're full. You don't battle yourself at all. And that feeling compensates for any chaos around you. You're just you're, you're just a passerby watching. So that has been my journey, and I definitely say try and experiment, because the merry-go-round does stop, and the the balancing act which we are constantly fighting in life, it does settle down. So it's worth giving it a shot.
I love what you ended with, because it's so amazing that once you stop wanting something, You know how you feel that the other person's company will complete you. You know, that's how it's supposed to be. And I don't know, the time after which you stop wanting that, then you don't feel lonely. Till the time you're wanting it, you feel lonely. It's very amazing how this works. And I've just pulled up something I'd read which I didn't remember. It's by Rumi. And here he says that all your restlessness is out of your desire for stillness. Just desire restlessness, then love will fill and still you. All your unhealthiness is out of your desire for health. Just abandon health, then even poison will heal you. You know, it's like, it feels that what is he saying? It makes no sense, right? Like he must be drunk when he wrote it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I also really liked it because it just touches a different realm and it's like so opposite of how we have been told the world works, right? I often refer to this mystic called Acharya Prashant. And I remember once, I was in a retreat with him and he had written a poem. He had shared a poem he had written years back. And it like this one line that stuck with me. It was like this race was won by the one who did not run. Like we feel that we have to race, we have to run to reach somewhere. But the one who feels I'm already there, how can he lose, right? Because he never ran. So that was really beautiful yeah. So, Mayur?
I would just like to add in your fourth para, they say they promise completion but leave me more lonely. So it just stuck to me like nowadays everyone is like every year there are promotion of buying new phones, especially iPhones. So everyone is like, it's just that when they go and buy a new iPhone, they are just happy at that moment itself, and once they come back they are back to the original stage when they have their old phone. So it's just that nowadays all these branding and commercial things that is happening around us of promising completion is just makes you more lonely. Yeah, true.
100%. You very well put. And in last week's Yoshnaji Friday Study Circle, you weren't there. So somebody had shared, Captain Badal, that he said that, I don't remember the exact phrase, that education is there to manifest out, like manifest the perfection that you are. Like that is the role of education, that you already are perfect and education is supposed to help you manifest that. But I really sat with that phrase for hours that day after the session, and all my education, all my childhood, somehow everything, everywhere I look, they just tell me I'm lacking, right? Like Mayur, you refer to advertisements about iPhones and stuff. We see that a happy face is there holding iPhone 25. I don't know which number is there, 10, 11, 12. And it feels that, I look at my face and I don't look that happy. So, when I'll buy that iPhone 10, then I'll become happy. It's like, it's always somewhere there. It's never here. And I think that is the lack on which the whole marketing, our whole commercial society is working, that you are not enough. And once you'll get this, like there's a beautiful sofa and on this a very sweet child is sitting and reading a book and he seems so content, and I want to buy that sofa, not even knowing what I liked about the sofa, but the child looks happy. So I think instead of going to buy that sofa, I need to sit and wonder that why is it that I feel that, happiness is outside somewhere? Like how can something makes me happy? And this is true for everything, right? Like how, I don't know, everything is about accentuating that lack in me and promising me, just do this. And like Mayu, you were sharing, even, with the spiritual retreats, with the so many things that, you do this and then you'll have it. You do this, and that reminds me of that beautiful, beautiful couplet or song that Bulle Shah, I don't know if you've heard of him. He was a mystic too, and he's like, yeah, you've gone to every place and looked, but you haven't looked inside of you. So it's just very beautiful, and it's amazing how we are so easily manipulated like that. It's like ऐसा लगता है कि we should have been more intelligent, to see that, oh, this is what's happening, because we spend lives after lives just trying to run after things, still thinking कि हाँ पिछले 400 बारी नहीं मिला completion, but इस time मिल जाएगा. So it's just naman to me for still trying to run and find it. So Snehi, we are just going through the lines, and because we were so it was so less of us, fewer of us, so we were just going para types and all. So if you have any sharing, I don't know if you're in an area where you can unmute and share, and if not, that's totally fine. So if you want to unmute, share right now, you can. So I don't even know whether you are here or whether you can. So I think I'll just move on so that we can stop the screen share and proceed. So, okay, so moving on. I appear to stand tall on my merry-go-round, but I'm prone to falls on this moving ground. I stand confused at the instability, the change. I blame the world for being cruel and estranged. When I step down from the moving ground, I find peace and an inner center, which is profound. So, again, with the achievements that I have been made so far, especially the worldly achievements, I am so proud, right? Because I did this. See, look at the size of my house, or the length of my car. So I appear to be standing tall, but the same standing tall, but because my ground is moving, I don't have any stability in me. I fall so many times. And then it's very confusing because it feels that I'm doing the right things, right? I'm doing everything that the society has been telling me, and yet I can't control things. There's so much that is happening that it's just happening. It makes me angry, and I feel that it's the world to be blamed because I am doing everything right. So again, like Jyotsna ji was saying, stepping down, or the merry-go-round stops, or like say Kabir says, that दोहा that चलती चक्की देख के दिया कबीरा रोए, दो पाटन के बीच में साबुत बचा न कोई. Otherwise, there's also a different one in which he says के center में, if the person who's in the center, the piece who's in the center, that is saved. Either coming into the center so that you don't feel the movement, or getting off. Till I do that, which I don't even know initially that I can get off, right? So just knowing that also is such a grace, that getting off is a possibility. Getting in the center is a possibility. And for me to do anything, first that stability or that stillness or that silence is needed, right? So yeah, this was about the last one. And I just quickly read the thing that was written here, that the world around me can run its chaotic drills, but I can be centered, choose peace, and be still. So I cannot expect the world to stop for me, and it never will. It will always say that, you are I don't know what you're doing, but there's so much to achieve, and I don't know what you're doing again. So, but you have the choice to step down. So I'll stop here. So yes, Mayur, thank you. Please.
So before you stop sharing your screen, Taru, I would just like to add. So is it so? Did you make this painting that is there?
I want to say I wish, but I'll just keep it simple and say no. Thank you for asking.
So it's so the above quote that is there. It's we can really see from this painting the true beauty of a horse can only be seen when it is running. So only when you're still, you can see the beauty of the things that are in motion. So yeah, that's
Yeah. And I think mystic after mystic has died saying that, like, I don't know, listen to the silence, right? Like it has stories to tell you. Or I don't know, I think Khalil Gibran who said that inside my soul, there's a wordless song. And yet we have been told that unless you like जब तक बच्चा रोता नहीं है उसकी माँ भी उसे दूध नहीं देती, kind of, we are kind of raised with these sentences that you have to do to get. And I think it feels like a ploy for you not to get, so that they have made you run in the opposite direction. You keep asking, keep running, so that you never reach, unless you realize that you have been going in the opposite direction, because somehow silence, peace, stillness is considered like a sign of weakness, right? Like if somebody is kind of accusing me or shouting at me, and if I don't shout back, I'll feel that was my weakness. I should have shouted back. But when I look at a Buddha, right, like sitting there, that reflects so much of power, like uncomparable to the one who's shouting. Again, I think I just like, just to acknowledge that, or to be aware of that how there's so much power in stillness, calm, or peace, that the one who hasn't experienced it much would never be able to realize that. And once you get, कहते हैं ना, अगर उसका खून लग जाए मुंह पे, once you get hooked on to it by grace, it's very beautiful to, I don't know, yeah, yes, Josna ji, I don't know, you were smiling. If you want to say.
Intoxicating
Yeah.
once you taste it, because nothing can compare with going within and going silent. Nothing compares to it. It's a kind of a satisfaction that no entertainment in the world can give you. Nothing can give you, provided you try hard enough. And I have learned that being on the path, you really have to try hard. It doesn't come like this. I mean, you really have to break your shackles, your habits, your, all your superficial needs and the action, the drama around you. And it's only when you go into stillness do you realize, oh, this is really me? Was this what I was hankering for? And you realize that you really didn't require all the action around you to bring you to a sense of peace. It's a very, very satisfying and a nice feeling. And I think the more we strive, the easily then we just go there. And you can be in a party and yet be very silent inside and be watching everyone, the fun. It's not that you're not enjoying, you are, but you are enjoying yourself. So it's I get what you're saying, because when you step down and you can be centered, you will just find your zone of peace. Like I can now go in a crowd, go anywhere, do anything, and yet it doesn't faze me like it used to 20 years ago, 10 years ago. If somebody had told me 20 years ago that I would be like this, I would have said, so boring, liking peace and being quiet. But then when I have come here, I feel so rich with no trappings. So it's, I think you've written this very beautifully. It's a very introspective piece.
And another thing is that, like, for me, I feel that that's getting off and getting on is also, movements that I can allow. Like, it's not that once I'm off, I'm off. Like, especially, when you're on the journey, like it's okay for me to get on at times, get off, but I feel that when you're off, when you're not moving with the flow, there is a potential for life. Otherwise, like in my repeated patterns, everything just goes on in my, again, how it was like do's and don'ts and rights and wrong, that I hardly ever live. And somehow stillness looks dead, right? Like you were saying that if somebody would have told me, I would have said how boring, right? But the life or the movement or the force or the power in stillness is not something that one can put in words, right? Like, but it actually opens you to the reality of things, right? Like actually tells you कि चल क्या रहा है. And when I'm so busy, and somehow I feel that it's very, I don't know, opposite of what I am supposed to be. Like if I look at my body, it's like a factory. There's so much happening inside me all the time. And yet, I mean, it feels it can never be at peace, it can never be at rest, and stillness can feel to someone like absolute rest, right? But that is not stillness. Like you were sharing, that it doesn't have, like, stillness is not the opposite of chaos, right? Stillness just is, no matter what the chaos is. And that's very beautiful, that how we understand things or perceive things to be and how they are not. So I personally, this freshness thing, this, like the possibilities of life open up. And if I recall things from my past also, like some things that really mattered, or when I was 4, this happened, 6 happened, there was some stillness in those moments. There was something that I really saw, because I was not enamored by everything around me. And that is why it retained even now when I'm 40. I can remember that, I was, I don't know, wearing that pink frock and twirling, because when I was twirling, I was 100% there. And that was my stillness at that time. So, it feels like that I try everything except stopping to try, so that things can happen how they are supposed to happen, right? It's very funny, very comical.
So as you're saying, it's you have to stop in order to see. So that's the most difficult things today, to accept yourself and to enjoy your company and to love yourself. It's easy said than done. It sounds so simple and easy when someone hears it, but it's especially at these times, the most difficult things one can do.
Mayur, it's like, the lives that we live are very difficult too, right? Like kind of complying to things and doing, like you said, nowadays the 24 hours job there, पहले तो 9 to 5 होता था, वो भी odd लगता था. Like you said, once it's online, anybody can ring anytime. So much expectations in relationships, so many things associated with timelines, right? Like last time we had that girl who was talking about so much pressure about meeting deadlines, about age and marriage and stuff. That's not easy too, right? But just because we feel everybody is doing it, it appears that it would be easy, and it's not. And like you say, it's very right that this is not easy too. And it's not that you just reach here, right? Like you have to look under so many rocks before you realize that I want to reach here, I want to be here, or I'm tired of being anywhere else. So it's more of a happening than a doing, but just to know that this is also a possibility is beautiful. Because
Sorry, go
no,
on.
please,
Sorry.
please, you go.
No. Sorry for interruption. Please go on.
No, I was just saying, it's like I keep running, right? Like, say, I live in a city, and whenever I want peace, I feel I have to go to the mountains, and looking at the mountains, suddenly I feel my place in the world, and that gives me some peace. And so I just from here to there to here to there. One day I say that, I don't know, the city and the mountain is inside me. I don't need to go anywhere. And one can say that's so difficult, but that's again because it's not a doing. After you have done so much and it dawns, then it's just a happening. You don't know any other way than this. Please, Mayur, I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, it's a gradual process. It cannot be a certain process. And if you are born with a silver spoon, you can never enjoy the things that you have already. So it's true for everything, even for spirituality as well. You can only enjoy when you have seen or especially experience the disruption yourself, or the pain and whatever we want to call it. So you only can then enjoy your company and then see the outside world as it is.
I think it really depends on your sensitivity also, right? Like say a Buddha, he saw a dead body and he was like, oh, maybe mar jaunga. And that was enough, right? Like it wasn't that he experienced death. It wasn't that somebody close to him died or he saw an old man. No, I think again, it's about how sensitive you are and what, I don't know, flips for you. It's very interesting that there are no rules. There's no, again, like, not a straight line. You don't know what will lead to where. I find it really fascinating though. Yeah. And, like I was sharing about the mountains, even like, I don't know, like heights or like I love it, not, I don't indulge in too much, but I love adventure sports. And suddenly when things are moving so fast, things inside tend to just slow down, right? Like just tend to stop. So I was just thinking of that today when I was sitting just with the topic, that how it appears something is moving. Say when you're doing skydiving or any, like, I don't know, just a merry-go-round. And yet the stillness that you experience in that flow, in that speed, I feel is what kind of, attracts so many people towards these thrills and sports.
So yeah, otherwise you were talking about mountains. I long to go to mountains, and I like I'm at this moment, I'm not at this present stage to accept peace in cities as same as what we've experienced in mountains. So in cities, I really feel anxious with around people. So it's really chaotic in cities. So yeah, for me, it's currently at this moment I am in. So the peace in mountains is definitely much greater than the peace here in cities.
Why do you think it was very interesting, Mayu, for me also to come realize this? But see, when I look at a mountain, or when I look at, say, a forest, or when I look I look at the ocean, why is it that we feel calm?
Because they are so silent. So they are just there, it's everywhere around you, and it's just that they're just silent, and they're there, and they're not moving. They're still. That's why I think I feel peace around there.
And if I talk about ocean, like when I look at the ocean, I still feel that peace. It's not silent. It seems to be moving a lot. Still, it calms, people. Why?
Yes, it's kind of silent. I mean, for me, I've been in ocean, for some time as a profession. So I've been into like very deep ocean, Atlantic and Pacifics. So the noise is always around the corners, and when you are deep in the ocean, it's really silent, even if the waves are coming, but still there's a stillness to it.
And it's so amazing that while you're standing on the side where there's so much noise and movement and wave, you can feel the stillness which is inside, right? And you feel
Yeah.
still. Or the expansiveness, the enormity of the ocean just makes you feel that how small, how small
Yeah.
you are, or how everything is all right, right? Like things are happening, everything is all right. And yes, Jyotsna ji, please.
The vastness of the ocean actually strikes me always. It's so vast with its own song. So it's not really noise. There's a rhythm to it which sort of echoes within you. So and I would resonate with what Mayur said, that it's the stillness of the mountains, it's the stillness of the rivers, the vastness of the ocean that just gives you tranquility.
And the fact that I'm so drawn to them, like right now I'd rather be there than anywhere else, right? Like, because obviously being there seems beautiful, shows me that what I really want, right? And although I try to fool myself with distractions and stuff, but what I feel there, the authenticity, again, allow me myself to use that word again there. Yeah, it's really beautiful. So,
And if you ever if you I don't know if you have ever experienced it, for a person who is always moving, and if a person who is still, if both of them goes to ocean at night, suppose there's just ocean around you, so the person who is always in motion is always in company will be, so at night, most of the places the water is really still, and if those two person are standing, it has happened with me, the other person really gets scared of the silent of the night the ocean has to present. So yeah.
I didn't understand your reference to the two people. One is usually
So
less. Yeah, what?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the one that is really aware about himself, his surroundings, and the other one who is constantly engaged in the outwardly life, all this stuff and all those things. So if you take them to ocean, and that too at night, where so like they're in deep ocean, it has happened to me. Okay, so that person will be scared to shed of the seeing the vastness of the that ocean at night. So it will scare you a lot if you're not a still person.
And
More
yet,
than scared, I would say it makes you restless and unsettled, because that's not what you are used to. That's not what you are. So if like a restless soul put into the ocean, he can't take it. He can't stomach it, rather. I think it's very interesting. There was a movie by Kamal Hassan. I don't remember the name. I think it was a Tamil movie or it was in Hindi, where this chap is used to staying in a slum and with lot of noise and cacophony and all that, and he was very happy there till suddenly one of his relatives dies and he goes into a lot of money. So the first thing that happens is he's taken to a five-star hotel and given royalty treatment and all. And the first night over there, he doesn't get sleep. obviously, because he's used to that cacophony. And I remember I was quite young at that time. And this guy, he jumps out of the window with a tape recorder, you know, that ancient tape recorder with those tapes and all. And he goes to the slum incognito, records the sound of the slum, comes back to his 5-star and plays it. And that's when he falls asleep in seconds. So we human beings are also like that. We sort of tune ourselves to the chaos, and we don't don't want to look what is good for us. We just want what is our habit. And it's very amusing, but that's what we want.
And I also find this very interesting what Mayur was sharing, that, and during the daytime, the one who was into the outwards, he would claim to be the smarter one, right? The braver one who knows how the world works, who knows how things are, right? And yet, because there's no connection, when there's actually time for him to be with himself, he's like scared. So it's just, how these things are so clear. Everybody knows this, and yet we fool ourselves into thinking that, again, I am running my show. I think if we are done, we can even like end now with not many of us. I did read something very beautiful the other day which resonated with the topic. I can find it. Yeah, so I'll just read this. It's by Sri Aurobindo. And here it says that there are two great forces in the universe: silence and speech. Silence prepares, speech creates. Silence acts, speech gives the impulse to action. Silence compels, speech persuades. The immense and inscrutable processes of the world all perfect themselves within, in a deep and august silence, covered by a noisy and misleading surface of sound. The stir innumerable waves above, the fathomless, resistless mass of the ocean's water below. The one who sees the wave, they hear the rumor and the thousand voices, and by these they judge the course of the future and the heart of God's intention. But in 9 cases out of 10, they misjudge. Like the one who only sees the wave, he's saying, and will make judgment based on that. 9 out of 10 times they will misjudge. Therefore, it is said that in history, it is always the unexpected that happens, but it would not be the unexpected if men could turn their eyes from suffices, and look into substance. If they accustom themselves to put aside appearances and penetrate beyond them to the secret and disguised reality, if they cease listening to the noise of life and listened rather to the silence. So there was a huge article from him on this topic, but I really like this one, so I took a snapshot. And when he talked about the ocean, it reminded me it's the same theme.
Taru, can you share this, maybe the link on the group for this?
Yeah, so I'll share the screenshot and I'll share the whole article as well. So if there's any comment, anything, I don't know if Nee is here right now, but she usually switches on the camera when she can share. So I'm assuming maybe today she's not in a quiet place. So if there's anything, please, we can say. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming. I would have had the session alone today, maybe. It's just one of those days.
It was a lovely session, actually. It's introspective and good.
Yeah, somehow I think when there are less people, we see that in other sessions as well. I don't know, it allows you to go deeper, right? Because yeah, it has a different
There's
flavor.
less confusion, and there is lesser scattering of thoughts.
Yeah.
There's a kind of a focus which is established and it maintains.
And the connection, right? Like because there's not less, yeah, dispersion, distraction. Yeah. Mayur, I have commented, right, that you look a lot like Jesus Christ, like the whole. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Every time I see
yeah.
you, like, when you switch on your camera, this thing comes to me that,
No, but he's a broader version of Jesus.
but,
Jesus was leaner on the truth.
yeah, that
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
matter. Yeah, but the look is very similar. Is it intentional, like this thing, or it just working for you?
So what happened was, since the lockdown happened, uh, I started year old. I'm not saying you're old. So when we are child or when we are old, we kind to do things by our impulse, right?
Yeah.
We do not like to think about things. But when we are in this age of like adults, so we like to ponder a lot. Think about that's I think that's the time we become mechanical and we lose connection and we just going merry-go-round by today's topic.
You have to keep the child alive in you.
Yeah, yeah,
That child has to be kept alive in you.
true.
You should be able to be the child that you used to be and wonder, at something so small. And an awareness comes in you that, oh, this can also happen. Like, I was observing how ants go on their mission, and they go from point A to point B and return back to point A to again refill what they're carrying and go back. And an ant is tiny, the brain is tinier. How in the heavens does this? And I say, if you tell somebody that this is what you were observing and thinking, they'll call you a fool. Because in this fast paced age, there's no time for this. But I saw magic in that itself. So I think we have to, like Taru says, we got to learn to pause for a moment, you know. And when you pause, actually, it's not the adult, it's the child in you that is exploring and finding out. And it's very fulfilling. So
Yeah,
so I also felt that, like they're telling us, write poetry on your color, write something on what you read. And, I was sitting with wonder that I have never written poetry. But when you sit down quietly the whole day, suddenly you find some wonky lines will come to you, which may not make sense to anybody, which may not rhyme, but which just flowed out of you. And that is when you are making your own connect. And suddenly the fatigue and the chaos of the entire day is just lost. You are you are fresh again. You're sort of fulfilled. Try it. You have to keep the child in you alive.
So Reggie, hi. We were just about to kind of end the session. So happy to see that you could join for some time. So are you okay to kind of speak a bit? I'm sorry, there's no coconut for me to open. That you have come after a long time, no red carpet, but I welcome you. And so please, if you want to unmute and share a bit, please do.
I don't know when you started placing that red carpet. I never asked for one. But But I actually, it's funny I made it because I was on the road before this and I didn't think I'd make it, but I thought, you know what, I have to join at some point because I wanted to today also. So I thought I'll just step in. And it was nice to see this cozy circle, people discussing things because it's a little more intimate like this, I feel. There was something on stepping back, which I think what I'll do is because I have to just compose myself. I just stepped in to the house from outside. Maybe I'll audio record or something and share it because I had something I wanted to share and I can't recall exactly what. There was some text bit also I wanted to share, so that text can go on there. Maybe I can just say it. It's something I follow as a practice for stepping back, actually, which I thought will be good to share today based on what you shared as topic. But I can share something based on what I heard in the last 2 minutes, which is keeping the child in you alive, because that's a interesting conversation. I actually, the one aspect of the child in me when I think of that is whatever comes to me naturally, whatever I'm inclined to, which is always going to be childlike and explorative in nature. But on the topic of poetry, so I was a journalist for the last 12 years, and I used to hate writing in school and college. I've hated, and the thing is, I've had no experience of it. So I used to hate it. Some in my mid-20s or late 20s or something, I decided something came into me and I said, I have to write. I don't know why, but I must write and I must read. And so I became a journalist without any experience of any formal education on it whatsoever. And somehow I overcome fatigue and lack of knowledge and all of these things because it just came from somewhere and I had to do it. And that brought out one aspect of me, and that brought out other aspects as well. So I do feel there's so much more to explore that we have no clue about sometimes. Like I have experienced that. And people ask me sometimes when they read certain things that, oh, you must be really into this or doing this. I'm like, I have no clue. I just, it just came. I just sat down and I put a lot of effort. Yes, the effort is there, but there's a willingness behind the effort which comes from a space I cannot explain, but it's a very intuitive space. And so from there, everything stems. And part of what I was wanting to share with stepping back is that process of going back to that space every time. Because when I go back to the space, clarity comes, answers come, decisions are made, things become more clear. I come off the surface, and because there is a clear distinction between that space and the surface now because of time and space. So that bit, and there is a passage by Mother which I will share later once I find it. That is what I actually, and it's for a change. Sometimes I reconfigure these words, but these words I follow to the T, what she's written, because it makes total sense, and I can't express it the way she does. So anyway, it doesn't make sense for me to say. So I'll probably put that up. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
No, thank you so much. I just put you on spot. You just joined, so this is also great.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just happy that I could connect because it's been a while, or make it in the last 10 minutes at least.
Sometimes having a small cozy group is really fulfilling.
Yes, I agree. So when I came in right now in 10 minutes, there were two emotions. Like one was, why am I even coming in, first of all? But the second thing was, as soon as I came in, oh, it's such a perfect setting. Good I came. Because it's just so in different group settings, when I've done these group sharings, it's always the smaller groups that come out with more depth somehow. I don't know, it brings that out somehow. It just does. It just goes deeper and deeper, no? So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's like it's with smaller group, people tend to open more. I
Yeah.
think so.
Yes.
That's why we can go deeply. It's
Yeah, exactly. I'm not used to that in the harmony circle, so it's nice. It's like a different feeling. Like I thought I'll come in and there'll be 12 people and they'll be closing up with multiple conversations and I'll just try and say something. And that's not the case. That's nice. But thank you. It's a good end to the night.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think this topic, we can take it up sometimes, like keeping the child inside us alive. Because somehow it feels that it's just the child who lives, right? And we are just breathing. Like, everything they see with so much newness, the wonder, these questions, like they can be annoying as well. And yet the curiosity feels that life is so new, right? Like life is so new every minute. I mean, it sounds so cliche to even say it, right? That life is so new every minute, and yet a child makes that happen. We must take it some time. So, thank you. I think we'll end the session here, and thank you for joining. And hope we can take something interesting. When we will take up something interesting next.